So some goodies have arrived. New exhaust time. We finally found a rolled out tipped exhaust. This one's a Scorpion. You can see there. Best sounding of the RS Turbo exhaust in my opinion. Then it's the Mongoose, then the Magnex is terrible. Right, so first job for this day is to get the CV joint replaced on the car. So we've just pulled out the drive shaft and we've noticed that the hub, the bearing is knackered on the hub, so we're going to change that at the same time. So we've got to get that pressed in. So as you see in the last video, we've got the new CV joints, so we just pulled the drive shaft apart, putting new gators in, placed these gators, you can tell they're split there, so let's get to rebuilding it. So I just changed the inner CV, we're going to change the outer ones as well, we just ain't got them in a minute, so we replaced the boots instead because they were split. The outer CVs are pretty good anyway, ain't got much wear on them, but these are like brand new now. So we've got proper SKF items, boot kits. We're going to get a couple of drive shafts and rebuild them, so when we go Santa Pod and track days, and blow them up because it's going to happen. So we're going to get rid of this rubber rocker cover gasket and change it to a cork one and see if we can stop it leaking. This is from a Sierra 1.8 and we used to change them to these, but it seems to be leaking more than the cork one did. So as you see in the last video, we've got a cork one to change. So while the rocker covers off, just thought I'd show you inside. We're going to try and upgrade these in the future to roller rockers. We've just got to find a set of them because these always break. We're going to take a few spares with us to the track. These are Kent heavy duty valve springs in there, and obviously we've got a CVH 35 cam. So we're going to replace this gasket now because it's an old one, and then we're going to stick a cork one on there. This one ain't got the metal inserts in it, which we just found out, so we're going to get one with metal inserts and see if we can get that one to fit and stop the leaks. So just got the cork gasket in, trimmed it up so it clears the cam sensor, just torqued up the rocker arms, made sure they're all still torqued up properly, so hopefully it'll secure the leaks. Got a proper one with the metal inserts this time. So quick update, we've bled the brakes. Didn't want to show you that because it's obviously a bit boring, time consuming. So we've got fully fresh brake fluid in there now, racing brake fluid. So what I use is this used to be Super Racing Blue, but they made you take the dye out of it. So now it's Super Racing without the blue, basically. And it's a .4 fluid, but it's got a really hard boiling point, so it'd be perfect on track. And it's made by ATE, and I use that on all my cars, and unless we've got any need for the big AP 5.1 fluid, which not normally needed, we'll find out on track. So another quick job I need to do on this. I want to change out these sensors, so the air temperature and the water temperature. You can see that one down there. So we've got some brand new ones I just ordered. These are proper Magneti Marelli ones, and we're going to change these out just so we know they're brand new. Because there's no way I can test these. I ain't got a Pectel monitor or anything like that to be able to test them. So we're going to just change them out anyway because everything else is new. Every other sensor's new. Idle control valve, map sensor, throttle position switch, cam sensor, crank sensor, everything else is new. And these are oldish parts. They was on there for, they've been on there about a good 5 years now. So might as well change them out. So that's what I'm going to get up to now. So not much difference really. The water temperature, I don't know, they don't look that old, but it's better to change them out, get the fresh ones in there anyway. Everything else is new. Water temperature one is exactly the same. These are both the same, but the air temperature is a little bit different. So this might have been a pattern part, which is good. So we get that out, change that out now. Just a quick one for everyone that's just joined us. I've got a lot of new subscribers lately, and you don't know, these sensors and all the engine loom and the ECU is all from a Cosworth. An RS Cosworth. Now we're using a 2-wheel drive loom because the 4x4 loom is split into 2 pieces, so the 2-wheel drive is easier, and this is the Cosworth ECU that runs the car. So that's why we're using Cosworth sensors, Cosworth injectors and everything else. is to get some proper antifreeze in there, but first I'm going to flush the system through a couple of times. So I'm just going to drain out the fluid now. It's got distilled water in there at the minute that I've run it up to. We just left that in there so that we could check there weren't no leaks, because there's no point wasting antifreeze if we had a leak. So we're going to drain that out. We're going to put some more distilled water in it, run it through again, and then drain it out again and put the antifreeze in. I want to show you what it looks like when it comes out. It's nasty. These CVH blocks, they love to rust. So that's just draining out now. You can see the nastiness in it already. That's only been in there a few hours. That's why I like to flush them through. By the time it's finished, obviously the antifreeze is anti-corrosive anyway, so that don't help. But I just want to flush it through. Right, so the new water's back in there. So while the car's getting up to temperature, I thought I'd let you hear it running. We're going to make a new boost pipe up for that top pipe eventually, because I don't like that. You can hear how nice it sounds, nice and quiet. We'll set up the idle, set up the fuel pressure, the CO2 and the ECU. Just going to give you a quick listen to the exhaust. So we get the condensation there. It's on cold start still. So all the AFRs are set up. That's the new Scorpion on. Beautiful smelling V-Power fuel. So we've got the AFR gauge in here. So that'll be going up to about 14s, mid-14s when it's up to temperature. And we've got, obviously you see on the back here, we've got an 88 spec spoiler at the minute. And an 88 spec front bumper. So we're going to swap over to 90 spec. We've got a couple of 90 spec bumpers. We don't know which one we're going to use yet. We've got two 90 spec spoilers as well. So see which one we want to paint up. See, look at that. That's why I won't do a straight change on these cars. That's the second one. It's only been idling for about 10 minutes. And you see how much is in it already. So I'm just going to keep doing this until it flushes through nice and clear. Right, that's enough flush throughs now. I think that's about the best we're going to get it. You can see it's just got a slight orange tinge to it. You're not going to do much better than that. That's a few flush throughs I've done there. So we get some antifreeze in there now, and hopefully it'll stay corrosion free. Right, so we've got some new plugs. We've got these PP8s. We used to use these in the old cars. Platinums, they're Denzos, they're really high quality. They're replacing these nasty BCR AESs. A lot of people recommend these on the forums. Don't buy them. We just put these in as a temporary measure while we was waiting for these ones, and one's already dropped out. So one of the spark plugs has already started misfiring and flooded the cylinder. So we've got some nice plugs in now. These are the prop ones. We've just gapped them all up, and now we're going to get them in the car. So if you want the code for them, these are the code. Right, today's job is to get these hubs off, which we've already done. So we've removed the disc and all the bushes that you've seen in the last vids. We're replacing the wheel bearings. This side had a nasty wheel bearing. It started burning out and smelling the grease. So we've got ourselves some SKF items. These are the items that come out of one of the sides already. You can see that the runners were nice, but the bearings themselves were burnt out. I'm not even sure if they used the right grease for it. So we've removed the dust seals. This is the nastiest one. You can see the outside dust seal is all damaged from the drive shaft already, so it's leaking the grease. Right, so obviously like the last video, we used SKF items, so proper bearings, proper parts. So this is how they come. So you've got the bearing inside the runner. So I just want to quickly show you how these bearings look. So this is how they come in the pack together. So you can see like there's a runner on the outside that goes into the hub itself. And then obviously you have the dust seal that goes over the top. But it's a nice design because the newer technology, you'd press a whole bearing into the hub. But this one, you don't even need to use a press. So you can just smash these out, obviously not damaging the hubs up. You can obviously use the bearings, they run into the runner like so. And then you have the dust seal, and that goes over like that, and then it holds in all the grease. And it just creates a nice friction-free surface. So the good thing about these kits is they come with a drive shaft nut, a nice fresh one, because you don't want to be reusing an old drive shaft nut. So unlike other wheel bearings where you literally press in a whole bearing into the top and you don't have to use dust seals or nothing, on these Escort Mark IVs the hub comes apart. Normally you use a pulley tool to get them apart, but these ones had fell apart where the previous owner had done a really bad job on the wheel bearing repairs, and it might explain the wobble that we had on one side. The bearing is overheated and basically the bearings inside, they've become like flat. So give it a spin. You can hear how nasty that is, and that's all properly greased up. And with the new bearings, you can't even hear them, and they're not even greased up yet. And obviously that only gets worse when you put pressure on it with the drive shaft. So that's the other side out. It's a nasty bearing this side, and it stinks. I know you can't smell it, so you've just got to remove the dust seal. And you can see that I think that the grease that they used on this side was nasty, and obviously it's all been damaged by the drive shaft itself, and it's just been leaking. So these items that come out of the car, you can see the actual runner is a Febby item, which ain't, I don't like Febby parts. I just never have done and never got on with them. But it's not, that's not what's fouled. So the failure is obviously down to the wrong grease being used that just burnt out the bearing. You can see how nasty and burnt out they are. They ain't supposed to be black like that. It's just because all the dust seals have let in a load of grit and crap off the road. So you can clearly see from this dust seal, you can see obviously how damaged it is. But the main point here is this grease here is just multi-purpose grease. You can clearly see that. And it ain't designed to take the high temperatures of a wheel bearing. Even if you used like a constant velocity moly grease, that would be better, but it still ain't good enough. On these wheel bearings, you need to use lithium grease. It's the only grease that will take the high temperatures and still be stable, and that way you're going to get low friction. So, you see how easy these come out. No press needed. Do a nice home job. There you go. And you can obviously see where the bearing runs inside there. Much easier than newer technology, can't beat the old cars. So top tip, when you're pressing in the other runner, use the old ones to centralise it, and then you can use a couple of spacer washers around the outside and it goes in nice and flush. Right, so you don't damage the runners, just use a block of wood and you can tap it in flush. Just get a couple of taps in it to centralise it. And this is recommended by the Haynes manual, so you know it's a top job. There you go. You see the runners in there fitting nice now. Right, there you go. One hub, all fully rebuilt, packed it full of grease. You can see how the drive shaft sandwiches it against the bearings. Just tap the hub in, ready to bolt back on. So you can see how nice that spins now. Nice and freely, not notchy at all. Exactly how we wanted it before. It was all wobbly and made a grating noise. So time to get these hubs back on. We've pretty much replaced everything now. So obviously we've got the conies, we've got the brand new bushes, brand new CVs, gators on the outside. Inner CVs have been done. Brand new tie rods. You can see how nice and stiff they are. Obviously brand new rack, brand new wheel bearings. So it's gonna drive really nice and smooth. So I love a torque setting. I love doing everything up to the proper torque settings. They wouldn't design them that way if they didn't need to be done. So you can see they're all here together if anyone's interested. Drive shaft nuts and everything. So just pause this here if you want to look at them. Right, so that hub's back together. Brand new drive shaft nut. Everything's torqued up to 210 Newton meters. And I'll obviously make sure you band that tang into the drive shaft so that drive shaft nut don't come undone. Obviously, whenever you take this drive shaft nut off, replace it. Right, on to the next job. You see in the other clip where we had the Scorpion system. So we've just removed the Magnex system. Magnex is a lot quieter. Mongoose and Scorpion systems are far superior to the Magnex. So we've just fitted that in. We're just going to line that up now. We've got some new clamps for it. The old one's just literally snapped off. So it's got some lovely fresh new clamps for it. See, proper Scorpion tailpipe, hard to get hold of now. And how good does the car look without a rear bumper, by the way? This is one job I've been wanting to do for ages. I've just not had time because we've been doing a lot of work underneath and they would have just got in the way. That's the original reason that we took them off in the first place. So getting this body kit fitted, obviously the arch extensions and the side skirts have got to be fitted a certain way. So what we're going to do with these is obviously on the factory they're bolted along. This is where the jacking points go. So they're bolted along the bottom of the sill, and then around the top of the sill they've got like a double-sided adhesive, and then that goes up and mounts them to the top of the sill so they're nice and straight and they don't sag, because they suffer from sagging on these cars. These have obviously got original wings, you can see, because on the non-RS models they don't have these bolt holes for the arches, and you can see in there they bolt to the wing themselves. And then on the back we're just going to rivet it along. This has been trimmed a little bit for wider wheels at some point. And then what we're going to use is to bond them on is Tiger Seal. This is U-Pole Tiger Seal. It's amazing stuff. You could put a spoiler on it and hang off it. We've got some new fixings as well for the bottom of the sill, so let's get doing it. Right, there you go. So I've got the front section on. You can see I've used a nice new fittings along there, and I've riveted it along the arches, and now I've just put some of that adhesive Tiger Seal and I've just taped it up. So I'm going to let that dry overnight, and obviously going to get this rear section on there, and then I can get the side skirts on with that double-sided tape. So I just put the rear arch on, stuck it on. It's all taped up so it can dry overnight, and I just wanted to give you a side profile of the car. I think that Ford done such a good job with the body kits in the 80s with all their cars, whether it was the Cosworth, the RS turbos. I mean, things like the bonnet vents, it's just iconic. You can see down the side of the car, I know it's not a Series 1 body kit, which is a lot more aggressive, but you see how far it brings out the seals and just makes the car look a lot wider. So let's get them side seals on. So there we have it, side skirts are all on. Front and rear, side seals, all done, all on solid, so they don't flap around like most of the RS Turbo, especially when they've got rusty arches. There's no rust on any of the arches on these. They've been replaced on the rear quarters at some point. So you can see how good it looks without a rear bumper on it. I love the Scorpion 4-inch tailpipe. Actually looks like an RS Turbo now. It's like they should have come with them from factory, so I can't wait to get the 90 spec spoiler on it as well. Get rid of this 88 spec. It's got nothing about it, these 88 specs. And obviously then get the 90 spec front bumper on it as well. It's going to look $1 million. So we're going for orange indicators as well, just to complete the look. So seeing as this car ain't had a wash in about 3 years, just going to give it a quick rinse down and a quick sponge over, just to get the nasty oils and greases off the car. We're going to give it a proper detail in one of the episodes. So just thought I'd start it up quickly, let it warm up. All the fabrication's done now, so that's a big thing done. You can see how nice it sounds. That exhaust, the Scorpion. Sounds brilliant. So obviously we've got the 90 spec spoiler to go on it as well. That's all going to be in another episode. We're going to paint them up and the front bumper. So let's get washing it. So just got over the paintwork with this old Iron Out Auto Finesse spray. Obviously from the fabrication there's a lot of iron in the paint, grinding particles, etc. So just sprayed the car leg and let that sit for a while. Then they're going to rinse it off. In the future we're going to clay bar it the next couple of weeks or so, and I'll obviously give it a wax and the usual. It's no show car, but the paintwork's very good on it. It's very straight. When you see it all polished up, you'll see how nice it comes up. So going to give that a sit now, rinse it off, give it a wash. Obviously we're not detailers, but there'll be some detailers out there if you want to give us some tips. So there you go, the first of many washes over the next couple of months, trying to get this paintwork back up to standard. It's obviously as flat as a pancake at the minute with loads of contaminants in it. Badly needs a clay bar, badly needs a polish and wax. Obviously these wheels, they need a refurb, but they're only the track wheels we've got at the minute. We have a set of flat spoke compomotives, 5 spokes in 17-inch. We're going to use them for show wheels, so you're probably only going to see these Superleggeras on the car for track wheels. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, drop us a subscribe if you fancy seeing the rest of the videos. So we're going to obviously have a lot of action videos as soon as this is back on the road, so it's getting there now. We've got our new bucket seating down there, proper lightweight. Engine's running sweet now, car's had a clean. So we end out this episode. The next episode we're going to get the roll cage in fully.